I don't know if anybody was listening to me last night or caught my show on the 2013 Australian Open preview for the men's draw, but I have Novak Djokovic defeating Roger Federer in the final. But I want to go through and break down the favorites in the draw. For one, the Australian Open is the one tournament of all four of the Grand Slams where you get upsets, where you get players that rise up to the occasion more so than you do anywhere of the other slams. When you look at the history of unheralded finalists in that tournament, whether it be the guys who won the title, whether it be Thomas Johansson, whether it be Marat Safin, or the guys who have been to the final numerous times that were low ranked, like Joe Wilfried Tsonga, Arnaud Clement, Marat Safin again a couple times, and even some of the other guys like Marcos Baghdatis. It's the one Grand Slam where you honestly can say that a lot of times there will be upsets. There will be players that come through that surprise you that you didn't see coming. And whether they go on to become top players or whether it's just a one-time thing, that's all remains to be seen. But let's get down to business and breaking down the key guys in the draw. I'm going to start with the two-time defending champion Novak Djokovic. Novak Djokovic has won this title 3 times in 2008, 2011, and 2012. He has proven to be one of the toughest competitors in the sport, and his career record in Australia is very, very impressive. He's won the title 3 times. And he's been into the second week several times as well. Novak's game is suited for this surface because it's a game built on being a very, very complete player. Very good serve, very, very consistent forehand and backhand, and his movement is probably the best in the men's game. I mean, if you just look at the way he plays, you just see the tenacity with which he plays with, and it's just amazing, just wow, how tough this guy is. I mean, you watch what he did last year in the 2012 final against Rafa Nadal, beating him 7-5 in the 5th after 5 hours and 53 minutes. It just goes to show you how incredibly mentally tough he is. And really, that's because a lot of the fact that he did after the 2010 season. He started working harder, started training harder, and look what it's led to. He's become one of the best players in the game today. A 32-5 career record in Melbourne definitely speaks volume for how good he is. He is definitely the clear favorite for this tournament. Now we shift that to the number 2 seed. My opinion is the greatest player of all time. That'd be number 2 ranked and 17-time Grand Slam champion, Roger Federer. Federer's won the title 4 times and possesses an eye-popping 63-9 record at the Australian Open. Been in the final 5 times, won it 4 times. He's been to at least the semis every year since 2004. It's the only major he's failed to lose before the quarterfinals since 2004. Unbelievable. Federer's game is suited to his hard court because he's able to take the ball early, he's able to hit his spots on his serve, and the fact that it's down under at the start of the year, he's at his freshest, I think favors him too because he's not going to be physically tired. Like, the end of the year, it's tough for him to win the majors like the US Open and Wimbledon because of the fact he's played a lot and he's older than most of these top guys. So, he's definitely Got a lot of advantages playing in Melbourne early in the year. The fact that he's comfortable down here, won the title 4 times, 63 wins, he's got to be one of the head favorites here. And only Novak Djokovic, in my opinion, possesses a better chance to win this title than him. Coming in as the third favorite, got to look at the Brit, Andy Murray. Won his first career major at the US Open last year. Been to the final in 4 different majors, the 2010 and 11 Australian Open, and last year's Wimbledon, before finally breaking through and winning in New York. His career record at the Australian Open is 23-7. Now that's very impressive. He's been to the final twice and been in the semis 3 times, losing in the semis in 2012 to Novak Djokovic. Murray's game is not so much prided on power, but it's more or less finesse. Finesse in his movement. Now, he's learned to hit the ball bigger as his career has gone on in order to shorten points and to preserve himself for tournaments. But still, the way he plays the game, he's almost as fast as Novak Djokovic moving around the court. His serve has definitely improved over his career. It's been a huge reason as to why he's won the US Open and the Olympics last year. And his forehand, in my opinion, is another one of his most improved shots. More or less because of the way he's able to, step up when he hits a good serve and put away an easy shot. I mean, he's really, really improved his game overall as a player. So those are the big 3 right there, the 3 big favorites to win this tournament. And then really for the rest of the field, it's kind of anybody's game to see who gets to the semis. Because Murray, Federer, and Djokovic, you can almost lock them in as semifinalists. But I have to look at David Ferrer as the other guy who possesses the best chance at getting to the Final Four. He might not be able to beat the big 3 in this tournament, but he's definitely proven himself a worthy competitor. I mean, the guy's 5'9", he weighs 160 pounds. The guy is not very big, but he is sturdy, he's well built, and he's fast. His nickname is the Wall, because every time you hit something to him, more than likely it's coming back. I mean, his Grand Slam resume is not impressive as the big 3. He's never made it to a final, but he's been in the semi 4 times. And his career record in Australia is 23-10. And that's not bad because, for a while there, David Ferrer was not as adept on hard courts as he was on clay. And I think that really showed in his rankings. But, he's number 4 in the world he's number 5 in the world right now. And he's very close to moving Nadal out of the top 4 for the first time in almost 8 years. And I have to say right now that Ferrer, other than the French Open, this is his best chance to win a major. Because the court is fast enough to the point where his serve will definitely seem bigger, but his rest of his game, he's not going to be overpowered by the big hitters. And really from the rest of the way on down, you look at some of the other favorites, such as, Juan Martín del Potro, he's been to the quarterfinals of the Australian Open twice, in 2009, 2012, and his match record down under is 14-6. But it seems like it's almost feast or famine for Del Potro in majors, because while he's been to the quarterfinals on numerous occasions and won a major at the 2009 Open, other than that, his results are pretty unspectacular, losing in the 4th round or earlier. You've got some other guys that have been up and coming that have had success at the Australian Open, whether it be the 2010 semifinalist Marin Cilic, who has a 14-5 record in Melbourne, or you can also look at some of the other guys, such as Frenchman Jo-Wilfried Tsonga, who's been to the final in 2008, to the semis in 2010, and his career record in Australia is 20-6, which is by far his best at any of the majors. If I had to pick a dark horse that could potentially cause some upsets in this tournament, outside the top 4, Berdych would have to be one, Thomas Berdych, the Czech. But I'm going to go with Tommy Haas, the veteran German. because Tommy Haas has very, very much been one of the most underrated players of this generation. I mean, his statistics don't wow you. I mean, he's got 13 career titles, 500 career wins, and is win number 2 in the world. But he's really had 4 careers because of all the injuries he's been unfortunately had to suffer through. Whether it be stepping on a ball at Wimbledon or whether it be tearing his rotor cuff and getting put out of commission for a whole year, as it was in 2003. But if you look at what he's done in the majors, he's 26-11 in the Australian Open, has reached the semis 3 times, and I think he's got a very, very good shot at going deep in this tournament because this court is very, very much suited to his style of play. I mean, he's been in the semis of Wimbledon. He's been to the quarters at the U.S. Open. But this court, I think, is more suited to his game because of what he can do on it. Because, you know, he can hit his serve and it'll be big because he's got one of the bigger serves in the game. He's got a very, very big forehand, and his backhand is one of the best shots in the game today because the way he winds up, the way he just comes and just streaks right through it, it's just an incredible shot. I give him a chance. He's in a tough part of the draw. He'll have to go through Richard Gasquet and Joe Wilfried Tsonga, 2 very, very talented Frenchmen. But I think he can do it. I think he can definitely make some noise and get to the quarters. But if there's one guy who's never really had much Grand Slam success, who is on the up and up, and who's got the weapons to contend with the best in the game, it's Canadian Milos Raonic. I mean, his career record in Australia is 5-2, which is the best of any of the majors he's entered. I mean, he doesn't have any more than 3 wins at the other ones, and he's been the best Canadian tennis player probably ever. I mean, next to Daniel Nestor, who is a doubles player. But in terms of singles, he probably is the single best player to ever come out of Canada because he's ranked 13th in the world right now. He's got 3 career titles. And his game is very, very much improving. He reminds me a lot of a young Andy Roddick. A big serve and a big forehand. And he's also got the competitive fire to match. So he definitely can rise up the rankings. I mean, he's already 13th in the world, and I think if he harnesses potential, he can go higher. But this court in Australia is almost tailor-made for him. Because his serve, I mean, the court speed's not going to slow down his serve at all. And his forehand's not going to get slowed down either. But his opponent's shots are going to get slowed down because, you know, no one's going to serve as big as Milos Raonic. I mean, he hit a first serve once that he missed. It was 156 miles per hour. I need to say no more. But if I had to pick one guy in this tournament who is, in my opinion, due for a letdown, there's really not one you can honestly say and single out that is. But I have to say Joe Wilfried Tsonga. And I say that because, you know, very, very much a streaky player. I mean, he's definitely, you know, one of the most talented, most dangerous players in the game. But there are times where he can go in and out of matches. He lost in the second round of the U.S. Open to the Slovak Martin Krislin, and it really didn't look like he was there for the whole match. I mean, he was just mentally just not even there. I mean, his knee injury he suffered, and since he might have had something to do with it, but he just wasn't really there. All right, but if I had to pick a dark horse, I've already picked Raonic, and I said pick a guy who's more than likely to crash. I'd have to say Tsonga, but I'm sticking with my prediction. I have Novak beating Federer in the final in 4 sets. You guys know my email. It's on my page. You can email me and ask me questions, and I'll talk about them. And see you guys later.